Carrie is speaking from the Specialty Speeches Advanced Manual, and her objectives today are to identify and understand the basic differences and similarities between inspirational speeches and other kinds of speeches, learn how to evaluate audience feeling and establish emotional rapport, and to develop a speech style and delivery that effectively expresses inspirational content by moving the audience to adopt her views. And her speech is 8 to 10 minutes.
Susan? So with that, Carrie's been a member of Toastmasters since fall of 2006, and she's been a member of 2 clubs. So with that, let's welcome Carrie to the floor.
The table, I don't want the table here, I don't think. Just over there. Yeah. I think. Actually, move it off a little bit, yeah. Okay. Imagine for a moment that you have decided you're going to overcome fear. How many of you have fears in your life? Doesn't matter whether it's a small fear or a big fear.
No.
Anybody? Because small fear, big fear, they're both the same, I think. So imagine yourself overcoming fear. What does that feel like? What would it look like? What would it taste like? What would it ultimately bring you as a result? Just some things to think about. Because fear can immobilize us. It's a great immobilizer, or it's a great propeller of our growth. So say a month ago you decide that you're going to go skydiving because you figure, heck, if you can get into an airplane and jump out of an airplane that's moving at 13,500 feet, you probably can do quite a bit in your life. And you can also prove to others that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. So on a Thursday afternoon, you start looking online and you find a couple of reviews about some skydiving places. The first place you see is in Monterey, California. Wow, wouldn't that be fun to jump out of a moving airplane with the Monterey Bay location, with the ocean and then the city. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Then you notice that their reviews are so-so. That's like 3 stars out of 5. And you figure if they can't figure out how to run their business, how are they going to get you to the ground safely? So you keep looking. And you find a place in the middle of nowhere in, I think it was Byron, California. Anybody know where that is? Harris. Middle of nowhere. Excellent reviews from most of the people who have gone with them. So you're trembling because you're thinking, oh my God, am I really going to do this? So you call the place. And Vic answers the phone. And Vic is the nicest person to you. And you don't even know where to start because you're so nervous. And he says, you know, you have to realize that jumping out of a moving airplane is not intuitive. It's not an intuitive act. We are not going to stand at the airplane door and contemplate this jump either. That isn't where you contemplate it. It's not, you don't think about it at that point. He also said he's done close to 6,000 jumps and that he has a motivation to go home that night as well. So it's to his benefit if the jump is safe. So you're getting a little more, building up a little more courage. And he also says, your biggest concern is the free fall. So you're going 100 miles an hour as you're jumping out of the airplane with no parachute. And you're thinking, oh my God, my life is going to pass in front of my eyes. He said for most people it's either the longest minute of their lives or it's the shortest minute of their lives. And you think it's going to be the longest minute because you're not attached to anything, and all your fears are coming up about, oh my God, what if the parachute doesn't open, I'm going to die. And this is the closest you've been to your mortality, because in the almost 40 years you've been alive, you've never really been to the hospital, you've never had a broken bone, you've never been seriously ill, you've never been in a car accident. So this is probably the closest you've ever been to, wow, I might not make it home. So then I start thinking more about, what does life really mean to you? So you text a bunch of people on Friday, and you say, should I do this? Should I do this? And one of them at this point has seen your text messages about contemplating the jump, and she says to you at this point, the only thing standing in your way at this point is you. And at that point, you realize you almost have to do it now. Because she has stated the obvious. So you're still really nervous about it. 8 a.m. Saturday morning, you call the skydiving place again. And a woman answers this time. And that blew all my stereotypes out the window. The woman who answered the phone was probably around my age, and she had done 8,000 jumps. 16 years of experience jumping out of airplanes and landing people safely on the ground. And she was the most experienced skydiver at that facility, a woman. So again, my stereotypes went out the window. So you make the appointment for noon, and you're like, okay, gotta do this. You get there at noon, and you basically sign your life away. If you ever think about going skydiving, you basically sign your life away because you can't sue them afterwards. If you die, your family can't sue them. And you do it. You just do it. Like the Nike slogan, just do it. Anyone ever heard that? Just do it. So you're watching the skydivers in the air, and they're like little dots, little ants up in the sky. And you're thinking, oh my God, that's going to be me in an hour. So it's time to put on the gear. So you're told to put on a jumpsuit, so you climb into this green jumpsuit. You wear this big harness, you put it on, and Vic tells you you're going to jump with Vic. Vic tells you that if you are scared, you can hang on to the straps of your harness. And it's like, for some reason, that wasn't real comforting. That would be something that I could hang on to if I was nervous after we jumped out of the airplane. So we get into the airplane, and we're told, you're going last. So you get to watch everybody jump out of the airplane. That was a scary moment. And we're going up to 13,500 feet. In this small airplane, it takes about 15 minutes. So you're there, you're up there, and you just, at that point, you turn off your brain that's telling you this is probably not a good idea. And you just do it. You let Vic guide you. He's sitting right behind you. You're attached to him and to the parachute, by the way. You are attached to the parachute. Someone asked me that afterwards. What if you came disengaged from your jumping partner? What happens then? But you do stay connected to him the entire time, and you stay connected to the parachute. So theoretically, if something happened to him, you'd be okay because you could figure out how to open the parachute. And apparently on these parachutes these days, there's an automatic release that if it doesn't open by a certain number of feet, it'll open automatically, theoretically. You're at the door, and he's right. You don't contemplate it. You don't think, oh God, let's jump out. And he also asks you to put your head on his shoulder. So you've got your head up as you're jumping out of the airplane.